Hello again. I wonder if any viewers have seen the case of the Albanian armed robber who entered this country under false pretences, claiming to be from Kosovo, and so acquired British citizenship fraudulently. He was then deported to Albania, where he served a lengthy prison sentence. It now appears that he cannot be stripped of his British citizenship, even though he lied to acquire it, because this would breach his human rights. I'll give a link to this case in the description to this video. Since there is currently a bit of a fuss about the idea which has been mooted of Britain withdrawing from the European Convention on Human Rights, and people claiming that human rights are a big deal in all kinds of contexts, I thought it worth thinking about the nature of such rights and showing the essential absurdity of the position adopted by many progressive and left-wing types when it comes to human rights. Where do human rights come from, do you suppose? If you're a Christian or Muslim, then of course you can claim that they are something integral to the universe, that they're God-given features of the world, as much a part of nature as gravity and electromagnetism. Few liberals and left-wingers would agree with such an idea for the origin of rights, though. For atheists, the only possible source of human rights can lie in the laws passed by human beings. In other words, just as we pass laws which make it an offence to own this or that kind of dog, or to pay taxes or ingest this or that kind of drug, so too do we make laws which grant or deny people various rights. In other words, unless you think that those rights are part of the natural world, like the forces of nature, you can only believe that they are created and administered by the law, and that without the law, nobody would have any rights at all of any kind. The question then arises of asking if the system of laws, either in this country or any other, can ever be perfect. I think most of us know that that cannot really be the case. 60 years ago, homosexual acts in this country were illegal, and now people have the right to engage in homosexual acts. At that same time, it was legal to buy a shotgun without a firearms certificate. That is to say, people had the right to enter a shop and buy a shotgun without even giving their name and address. Now they no longer have that right. All our laws about everything are constantly changing, and what was forbidden yesterday, that is to say, something we did not have a right to do, may now be legal. And similarly, what was permitted last year, a right we might have had, may soon become forbidden. Our laws are in a state of perpetual flux as we change our minds about what should or should not be allowed, and what people are and are not entitled to, about their rights, in other words. I thought it worth saying this because the way that some people talk about human rights, you get the impression that they feel that these are sacred principles which we have discovered and must now guard carefully, instead of being of no more significance really than a bylaw against allowing your dog to foul the pavement. Having established this point, we can see that there is now no earthly reason to avoid changing any of the laws in this country, together with our adherence to any treaties made with other countries. These are all merely artificial constructions dreamed up by mortals. They are not objective and eternal standards by which we must always be bound to live. So it is with an agreement such as the European Convention on Human Rights. It was put together 75 years ago and suited the state of the world at that time perfectly, but there is nothing sacred or eternal about the so-called rights which are set out in it. This is just a bunch of stuff which fallible men came up with, and the provisions are perhaps outdated. There can be no greater error for men and women to fall into than to imagine that simply because some document is old and was once useful, then it must be preserved for all time and treated as the ultimate in human wisdom. I'm sure that those who drew up the Code of Hammurabi almost 4,000 years ago thought that they too were laying down laws which would last forever, but we now think many of those laws foolish or cruel. So it will be in the future with our own views on human rights. Times change, and to cling to old and outdated laws simply because they are old is a luxury I don't think we can afford in the modern world.